So up until now, you're probably thinking that cryptos is just going to evolve money, which it absolutely will. As I always say, what the internet did for communication, cryptos is going to do that for money. This is the evolution of money and the revolution of trust. But the thing is, since 2009 till now, there has really only been one use case for cryptos and blockchain, and that's been the transfer of value. And there's so much more to DLTs and cryptos than just the exchange of value, i.e. currency or money maybe. So here are my 5 main favorite use cases for the future. Now, I say they're my favorite, but I think these are the 5 which will definitely prosper as crypto and blockchain tech improve. So let's do the first one, which is value transfer. So obviously we have interbank settlements. So obviously all of the banks around the world, they're so intertwined. But what happens at the end of every day, there's a bit of a surplus or deficit. And what then happens is the banks then settle the balances. And those interbank settlements are tens of billions of dollars. And if a bank has to send money cross borders, it takes 3 days to settle. And there's all sorts of FX fees there. So interbank settlements are going to be replaced by cryptos. And although I'm not a fan of Ripple, XRP, the token, that's going to be used for interbank settlements. And they did a test not so long ago, and it took 20 seconds to clear. So that's a massive improvement. So the banking sector is actually going to be streamlined and save billions of dollars per year. So they're actually going to be more profitable in the short term before cryptos completely pulls the rug under their feet and just destroys them. International payments. So if I send an international payment from my Barclays or Santander account or whatever, it's going to cost me at least £25. There's going to be an FX fee there. And it's a bit clunky, and it's going to take time, a day or two for you to get this international payment. With cryptos, no longer needed. By the way, all of this, what I'm saying, is within the value transfer use case. We have trading and the financial system being streamlined because all trades and all transactions, etc., will be put on a blockchain of some sort. So lower fees, faster matching, etc., all of that. The world of peer-to-peer lending is going to absolutely change because I can send money or currency directly to you with no middlemen in the way, no one taking 5% of success fee if you complete your fundraiser, etc. And as such, that's probably going to lead on to a whole plethora of tiny mini stock markets all over the world. And really, the last point within the value transfer is I think this is going to absolutely empower the developing world. Don't forget, there's 3.2 billion people right now that don't have access to the internet. They don't have a bank account, and a lot of them, they're dealing either in cash or bartering. So the moment they can actually transfer value digitally when they get the internet is going to be absolutely huge for them, because they can expand their businesses. Because if you are a business person in the developing world, it's hard to scale because you can't do transactions with someone from faraway villages or towns, etc. So yeah, this is really going to empower the developing world. So that's value transfer. That's number 1. The second use case I think is going to be huge is trust decentralisation. At the moment, everything in our lives, there is a focal point, a concentration risk point of trust. So, for example, if we do a deal of some sort and we put some money into escrow, guess what? There's someone holding that money. That escrow is like a nice side pot for both people to do a transaction with, but who owns the escrow? There's counterparty risk there. So the whole world of escrow is going to change. The personal data and identity data is going to change because you will soon own your own data. There are blue chip companies all over the world paying for your data, and you're not getting a single cut of it. You don't even know it's happening. Everything you put on Facebook, YouTube, Google, any of these platforms is not your data. It's these big platforms' data. And they're profiting from your data. Facebook has knowledge of everything about you, pretty much. Facebook and Google. So that's going to change. This is why Tron, as in the crypto, is going to do very well, because they want to decentralize the whole internet. It's a massive Elon Musk level sort of vision there, but they want to take out Facebook, Google, YouTube, and decentralize the internet. So huge. If they even complete 10% of what they say they're going to do, yeah, it's going to be interesting. So that's that one. Medical records. You're going to own your own medical records. Again, people are profiting from your medical data. You'll own that. It's going to be, you'll only have the private key to it, and you can then give an API or a read-only access to your medical data whenever you go to a hospital or surgery or whatever. And as I've said, you'll probably have your a public medical profile connected to your fingerprint. So if you're hit by a bus on holiday, the paramedics can simply scan your thumb and they'll see what blood type you are, your allergies, any existing ailments or conditions, etc. So that could actually change lives. Land registries will go onto the blockchain. So people can't just get turfed off their land or their homes by corrupt politicians. So again, really going to help the developing world there. And the voting system, what an utter bollocks of a shambles that is. No one turns up, no one trusts the voting system, so we don't really know what the public think. So the moment the voting system is decentralized, in terms of trust, and it's put on a ledger or a blockchain of some sort where it's immutable, it's transparent, no one can hack it or no one controls the data, and you can vote online, that's when we'll have mass voting. The amount that turn up to vote at the moment is shockingly low, because it's archaic. You have to go to a freaking village hall to do it. So most people would literally just can't be asked. So yeah, that's that. So that's trust decentralization. The third one is auditing, the third use case. So obviously regulatory and auditing in general is going to go onto a blockchain, a ledger, etc. Whether it's a public one or a private one, it really doesn't matter, but it's going to streamline auditing. As a result of that, the world of accounting and bookkeeping is going to be massively disrupted. Good night, bookkeepers. And accountants are going to have to really shift and pivot to be more of the consulting and information side, as opposed to the transactional bookkeeping type shizzle. Because hey, your cryptos, you may be dealing in crypto pounds or dollars eventually, and the tax man will just automatically know what to tax you at source. So yeah, that's that. Along with AI, I mean, blockchain and AI together, they're going to take out accounting and law to a degree. In fact, paralegals are already being replaced in America by some big legal firms. Insurance is going to be under the auditing use case. There's going to be all sorts of different things. Even, in fact, now we can probably, or in fact, we already have the tech, but you can do real-time live insurance. So for example, there's lots of car sharing things popping up these days where you can rent a car for an hour or two or whatever. And so what could happen is that the car will be connected to a blockchain or a private blockchain which is connected to their insurance company. And the second you turn the engine on, you'll then be charged per second for insurance. You do your journey, and the moment you turn the engine off and lock the car, it will then stop your insurance. So that way you're not overpaying for insurance, and it's done by second by second. So it's stuff like that. I mean, there's all sorts of different things that can happen. And as I said, taxes. I mean, taxes is a no-brainer. Most countries' main income stream is tax revenue, and so that's the first thing regulations are going to try and crack down on. So that's auditing. The fourth one, which is a biggie, is middleman disintermediation. As I've already said, we have Spotify, Airbnb, Uber, etc. They're all decentralized or disintermediating those industries, and cryptos is doing that for money and banking, etc. But yeah, it's going to do the same for storage and computing. You've no doubt already heard my explanation of decentralized storage like Siam coin, or decentralized computing like Golem. So Dropbox and Google Drive are going to have to pivot or embrace this tech, because with this tech, the price of data storage should at least drop by a factor of 10 at the very least. And it's actually your data, because the moment you put stuff on Dropbox, it's no longer your data. They're just giving you access to it. So that's that. Estate agents will go bust. I've spoken about that. It will just go on a blockchain with smart contracts. In fact, nearly all of this will need some form of smart contract. So that's why I haven't put smart contracts as a use case, because it's like a no-duh. That's a new meme. Yeah, crowdfunding platforms. Again, I spoke about peer-to-peer lending. They're going to be decentralized. So there'll be feeless crowdfunding platforms. And also energy management. So you can tie in energy management to a blockchain. So the house will only use what it needs, batteries. In fact, there's a big wave of obviously green renewable energy, but also energy storage through battery packs, etc. Blockchain tech will massively help that. And the last one, I'm trying to speed through this, because there's a risk of me talking forever with these, because I really can. And the fifth one is governance. So governance or overseeing, basically. So contracts, so all sorts of legal type stuff. Things will be, so this sort of ties in with dispute resolution. So if there's any disputes, obviously it's going to be black and white on the blockchain, etc. And again, combined with things like AI, artificial intelligence, etc. But here's the big one. Here's the thing which is going to have massive opposition by the governments. And that's basically because I believe at some point, whether it's 10 years or 50 years, governments themselves will be disintermediated. They will be completely decentralized. So governments should, we could do this right now with existing technology, but you can reduce the size of a government by about 95%. Because most governments are bloated. They're run in completely the wrong way. Like if you had a public company and it did loads of cost cutting, it was efficient, etc. That department of that company would then probably get more funding because it's so efficient. It's the other way around in the government sector, so the civil sector, because what happens is a department will get an amount of funding, and if they don't spend all of it by the end of the year, then they'll lose, their amount of funding will drop, because what happens is the government goes, oh, you didn't spend all of your grant, so you obviously don't need it, so you're going to get less money. So there's massive wastage. So that's why governments are bloated. So you can get rid of most pen pushers that way. Sorry, a bit disrespectful. But yeah, big bloated governments are not good for the economy and also the markets. And I guess with a blockchain and AI, technically you wouldn't need leaders. There will always be leaders like spokespeople, etc. But a lot, like 99% of governing, like what the government does, doesn't need to happen really, because it can all be automated. Now, obviously, the opposition there is the government. So, however, I think what will happen is that we'll see breakouts. So we'll have countries, like tiny countries, which will embrace stuff like this. And when they see how well it works and how there's less shenanigans and corruption going on, then I think the world will embrace this eventually. So they're my 5 main use cases for cryptos and DLTs, but that's only 5. They're going to be thousands, just like the amount of use cases with the internet. So yeah, hope that helps, and see you in a bit.